Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and today we are joined by India. We are live in the studio. India is the founder and owner of Gardenista Jax here in Jacksonville, Florida. So India, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to talk about plants. She's already looked at all of my plants, given me tips and advice, and it's super helpful. But we're going to talk about plants in the context of dogs. You know, what's toxic, what's okay to have. And it's funny, the first time we spoke, she's always heard people say, I have dogs, I can't have plants.
Yes.
Versus I've always heard, well, it's a plant, it's fine, I can have it. So it's funny because it's complete opposites. And both of them are wrong. So we're going to talk about a little bit about plants. But first, let's talk about you and your business and what you do.
Well, I'm the owner of Gardenista Jax. Gardenista Jax does landscape design, installation, and maintenance. And we specialize in beautiful planters around pool areas and entries of homes and things like that. But one of the things that makes us different is we also go into people's homes and we do plant styling. So I would do just like I did for you. I come into your home and I say, oh, we could add this plant here or that plant there. And of course, what comes up in the context of conversation is I'm at their house and there's lots of dogs around or cats. And they're saying, oh, I thought I couldn't have that plant because I have dogs or because I have cats.
Right.
So it's wonderful to be able to bring it up that, yes, you can have some of these plants, but there are ways to go about making sure that we stage them appropriately so that the cat or the dog doesn't have access to it. And then there are some, of course, wonderfully pet-friendly plants where even if they do take a little sample, they aren't going to get sick.
Right. And there's a spectrum.
Absolutely.
So there's plants that are super toxic and some that might just cause like GI upset. Not that we even want that, but it's good to know so you're not panicked if your dog eats, you know, a leaf or takes a bite. So our puppy last week took a bite of our aloe plant. And I know aloe's not good for dogs, but I don't know how bad it is, right? And I'm like, well, it's good for us. So like, could it be that bad? All I did was move the plant and washed her mouth out with water, observed her for a few hours. She seemed fine. So that was kind of a lesson for me, though, because all of my older dogs, they don't touch my plants. They don't touch the aloe, the snake plant. They touch nothing. But having a puppy, she's like, what's this? What's this? So let's start with toxic plants. And when you're thinking most toxic, what comes to mind for you?
Sago palms come to mind just because as a landscaper, we see them all the time in the landscapes, but we also see them at Home Depot, Lowe's, Trader Joe's, like we were just talking about, where they sell this tiny little version of a sago palm, which I never understood the attraction for them because they poke you. So why would you want something that pokes you? But anyway, they have them all the time for sale, but that is just one of the most dangerous plants that an animal can ingest. So you really want, I just say no to sago palms. In fact, I get paid quite often to go into people's homes and tear out sago palms because they tear it out from the landscape because they're that afraid of their animal ingesting those little seeds that they drop, which is probably a good move. I mean, chances are always slim to none that something that extreme is going to happen to your pet, but you don't want to be the one to find out.
So sago palms can drop little seeds?
Yes, it's like a little orange seed that drops, and then that tends to be what is the tasty snack that the animals tend to go for.
I didn't realize that. I always just thought it was something with like the plant itself, having no idea that it could even drop seeds.
So that makes me think of another plant called a fire sticks plant. It's a type of euphorbia, and long story short, the milky sap of it, if it gets on your skin, like as humans, some people have serious allergic reactions to it. And same thing for dogs, because dogs are typically trying things with their mouths. So to ingest that, they can get wildly ill. So I would say no to pencil sticks, because people love pencil sticks in their homes and outside in planters, but a little bitty piece drops off. It looks like a little stick, hence sticks, right? And to me, that just says warning sign for dogs, because dogs love anything that looks like a stick.
Right. Right.
Yes.
I don't even know what that plant is, so I'm going to have to look for it.
So sometimes it's called a firecracker plant. There's all sorts of crazy names that are, that a lot of them overlap too, where there's multiple plants that are called firecracker plants. But let me just call it pencil sticks, and I think people would recognize that. It's a type of euphorbia. They literally look like pencils.
Okay. That's good to know. Let's move a little less toxic. Let's go down the spectrum. What's still iffy or be careful, but maybe not as bad?
Interesting, because what's coming to mind is what everybody's going to shop for. So I'm thinking, what's a really highly purchased plant that people need to be conscientious of their pets being around? Pothos.
And I have
Some
one.
people call it pothos, pothos, potato, call it what you want. It's a very popular houseplant. People love it because it drapes down and spills and just looks gorgeous. There's another one called philodendron that looks like a pothos, but the difference is it's more of a heart-shaped leaf.
I have one of those too.
Everybody loves those, right? So then that makes me think that it's a medium scary toxicity plant in the sense that animals are a little bit more attracted to it because, they like things kind of dingle-dangle-dallying and kind of attracting them by blowing in the wind and in those sort of ways. So pothos and philodendron, if sampled, it will make them kind of drool and salivate and tend to lick their lips a lot because it does burn. But what I love about that is nature and animals coexist for a reason.
Right.
And that is the lesson that it is teaching the animals, saying, don't eat any more of me. You don't want to. It's not a good thing. Stop eating me now. So they kind of learn their lesson and say, oh, okay, I've had my taste and now I'm over it.
Right. Let's go back to very toxic because something just came to mind. Lilies. And
those Easter lilies, right? Is coming to mind too for when you say that. Yes.
Yeah.
So we bring these temporary poinsettias. Let's just go kind of holiday vibe.
Yeah.
So Easter lilies and poinsettias, then you bring them into your house temporarily because you just think they look pretty. I wonder if amaryllis are too. I'm thinking those are too. Those come in those wax bulbs and they have the big, beautiful flower. Those kind of things can be absolutely terrible for your animals because they're going to ingest that petal or that dried up something that falls off. Think about poinsettias. Those leaves get nice and crusty.
Right.
And to me, that just says it's an invitation. I have a young Boston Terrier myself, and it's like anything like bark-like or stick-like. She wants to taste it and figure out what that is. So poinsettias are a really scary idea as well, even though people around here put them in their landscapes as well. Yeah. So I always say, don't bring it in the home where you have your animals all the time. Keep it outside. Right. And keep it maybe outside where you're watching it all the time. If you're letting the dog out and you know that it doesn't really hang out near the entry, but it goes on outside to go potty, then that was a fine spot because it's not really hanging out in that area all the time. So being mindful of what is the patterns of your dogs and where are they going to be most often. That helps you kind of avoid those issues. Right. But that also has that white toxic sap that is just a nightmare to animals.
Okay. And then two more that I'm thinking of. I've always had them in my house. All of my friends with dogs have them, are snake plants because they help clean the air, so to speak.
Yeah, everybody thinks that, yeah.
Aloe. And I only have aloe because it's the #1 plant I can keep alive and I can keep multiplying it. So
yeah, who doesn't love aloe?
Those are both, in my mind, medium toxicity.
I agree.
Okay.
I don't find that cats and dogs are attracted to snake plants, just the growth pattern of it. Yeah. So I find that dogs are especially attracted to anything, obviously, like we talked about, wood-like or grass-like. So the very thick, waxy leaf of a snake plant is so thick, I just don't think it's inviting for a dog to really want to even sample. So then that makes it a little less vulnerable for being sampled. Right. And then when it does actually ingest it, it's not as horrible. Yeah. And they have to eat such a large quantity, which I think is important for you to realize. So what are you going to do if your animal does taste some of these things, or you've noticed a chunk is missing out of a leaf? Understand that one partial leaf is not going to hurt your animal. Right. But kill your animal. Maybe put it that way. Right. It's just, it can hurt it. Like it's going to be in distress, maybe some gastrointestinal upset and burning leaves, but it won't necessarily kill your animal. So still go through the steps of precaution and monitor your animal and make sure that doesn't seem like it's in too much pain, or take it to a vet if you think otherwise. But watch for the amount of the plant that it is eaten. And if it hasn't been a significant amount, it's probably just fine. Right.
And then let's go to the flip side. Let's talk about some very safe plants, and I'm not sure that I own any.
Mm-hmm. I should have brought you some. I'm kicking myself for not realizing you were so into plants, and I could have brought you some. So one of my favorites is called spider plants. So if you want that kind of draping, spilling look where it has all those babies that shoot off, I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's called airplane plant. That's a wonderful one because it's got white and green variegated leaves. And again, it spills, so it gives you that drapey, fun, wispy look. You can have it in a hanging planter or have it on a table, and it's gorgeous. Spider plants are some of my favorites. Calatheas are also very popular. That's a prayer plant, but girl needs to pray in order to own one because I have killed a few. I don't know about you. Are you?
I have never owned one, and if you've killed them,
they are such a pain. They
I won't ever get
high
one.
humidity and regular watering, and
no.
I don't know. It's just never
Not for
really.
me.
They're not for me either. I've got too many things to do. But prayer plants are all safe.
Okay.
Then there's a cousin of that called Marantha, which is wonderful. And then those are really fun because they kind of open and close at night and lift and lower, and they're just kind of a showy plant.
Yeah.
Those are always pet safe as well. And then I am just, for some reason, having a little bit of a brain fart, but I bet you have a list. Let's talk about some of the other ones.
So I have written down as safe herbs like basil, rosemary, and thyme. Those seem pretty safe, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna say that it needs to be monitored, or it needs to not be ingested in large quantities. But if they just have a little bit, think about us kind of giving our dogs some people food sometimes, and it typically has those herbs in it. It's not like one of those warnings where they say don't feed them onions or don't feed them garlic, but some of those other herbs is not as terrible for them. So yes, they can have it in small quantities, but herbs and stuff like that are also outside a lot and in raised planters, so they tend to be away from your animals anyway.
Right. What about, so the mosquitoes are bad. They're terrible right now, actually, at my house.
Yes.
What about things that repel mosquitoes? Like I'm thinking citronella, lavender.
Citronella, lavender, citronella grass, and then there's a citronella geranium I talked about on my Gardenista Jax Instagram page that kind of went crazy because people didn't realize that there was a citronella geranium and regular citronella grass.
I don't think I knew that.
It's pretty and beautiful and smells so good, and they make candles out of it. So the joke was something about how no, it's not that kind of citronella that they make candles. And I'm like, I guess I'm talking about both. Anyway, it's just kind of one of those things. But citronella is one of those things that probably shouldn't be ingested by your animals either.
Okay.
But let's keep this in mind. If they're repelling pests and they're repelling rodents and things like that, your animal's probably not interested in it either because it's a strong scent. So they're not going to be as attracted to basil or rosemary or lavender because they're not going to like that smell. That smell is going to say, stay away.
Okay. And then the other one I have written down as possibly dog safe is Boston fern.
Boston ferns. Interesting. I don't recommend Boston ferns.
Okay.
Again, as a landscaper and somebody who goes to people's houses, they're messy. They dry out fast. They drop a ton of leaves.
Okay.
They are just always in the way. They blow in your house. They blow outside on your porch, and they just look messy all the time. Maybe they're pet friendly, but I would tell you there's lots of other wonderful options that your dogs are not going to be attracted to that look just the same.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
And I think the flip side of this conversation is kind of our general landscaping. So whether it's pesticides, fertilizers, just different things we treat our yard with. So I don't know, do you have any experience with those types of things and different, I don't even know if you have recommendations for fertilizers.
I don't. I can just tell you it's best practice to ask. When you move from house to house and you have all these kind of treatments and you're getting pest control or you're getting fertilization, always ask, is it pet and animal safe? Unfortunately, they're going to all tell you that it is.
Right.
So then you ask for an ingredient list and then do your own research. Pop that bad boy in ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever and learn for yourself what is that chemical made of, or what is it and comprised of, and then make your own decision on what you do for your animal.
Okay. What about mulch? I mean, do you ever run into, my dogs sometimes get into it.
The dyed mulch, I would say, isn't a great thing, right?
Right.
Because it's got all those other awful things on it to make it that pretty red or that deep black that nobody wants in their yard, by the way, because it shows every leaf that drops on it. Don't suggest.
Yeah.
Not recommended by Gardenista Jax. But I really like pine bark nuggets, and my dog loves to chew on them, and I don't worry about it.
Okay.
I don't, because I also think it's important to know your animal. Is your animal the type that chews on things but then spits it out?
Right.
Or do they chew on things and then swallow? And all of us know our animals. Anybody who's had more than one dog knows their habits, and that they will pull something apart or pull the stuffing out of it or tear that plastic up, but they never swallow it. They just drop it right there. That's what my dog does with the bark as well, or with the pine bark nuggets.
Okay.
And mulch, for that example. She just wants to kind of run with a big version of a stick in her head.
Right, right. What are some tips you have for people who want to, like, dog-proof their plants?
Dog-proof the plants. Let's think about location. If we have a dog that is overly curious and sampling often, let's get them up. Let's install some cute shelves. Let's put them on macrame hangers and hang them. You can still have plants, but put them up and out of the way for your animal if you find that it's sampling too often. If not, then we can go online and look for that big list of pet-friendly plants, and then go to the store looking especially for those, and there are a million of them, and you can find plants absolutely that are okay for your dog to, even if they ate them. So then stick with that list if that's the case. So location, and then what else did you ask?
Just trying to dog-proof them. You know, for me, like, so I've got plants hanging on the wall, and then most of my others are on a surface. I have some raised planters, not a lot, because they're kind of pricey.
They are.
But like talking about my puppy and the aloe, so I had my aloe in the backyard where they go, and because she kept being drawn to it, I now planted it in the front yard. Should I have called someone first? Yes, it's dying. I didn't do a great job, but I moved it to the front yard. And interestingly enough, we have a lot of neighborhood cats that use our yard as the litter box. I think the aloe is keeping them away.
Ooh,
I know.
I must Google that immediately after we leave, because I wonder what that is. Is there some property in that is a deterrent for them? I don't know.
It could just be they're like, oh, there's a dying plant. Let's not poop on that.
Maybe they're like, just
Let's
kidding.
Kill everything
See
else.
ya. But also, I should say, I've had 3 dogs and also plants. I'm just thinking about every dog I've ever been around that's been in either my parents' home, where they always had tons of plants, and then in my 2 homes. And I've had 2 different dogs, so 3 different personalities around plants. No problems whatsoever. I really feel that you just need to figure out your animal, learn your animal, bring those plants into the home, enjoy them, get joy out of them.
Right.
Don't let them torture you. Don't let them worry you to death and tell yourself, I can't have plants because I have dogs.
Right.
You can absolutely have plants if you have dogs. Just know your animal, pay attention, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
Pivot, you know?
I think, you know, the biggest issues I've seen, and you see it on social media, it's normally not the plants people have in their home, but it's like if someone starts sending them flowers for a birthday, a surgery, or whatever, that causes problems. And even not if it's in the house, but they maybe throw it away in a trash bag. They sit it where the dog was going to get in the trash anyway.
Makes
you know,
perfect sense.
So I see that issue.
That's a really good point. So kind of pay attention to anything you're bringing into your home that's new and interesting to your animal. That plants aren't just necessarily something to ignore, and to pay attention to what basically could happen, and dispose of them appropriately, like we would if we had rotting meat or something else, or things like that, where we're thinking, oh, we don't want our animal to get chicken bones. You know, think about when you eat fried chicken, you're not going to just throw it away in the garbage can where the dog can get it, because we know that that'll hurt our animal. If we treat plants like that when we throw them away or dispose of them or get them, then maybe we're just a little bit more aware.
Yeah. If people want to find Gardenista Jax online, if they want to reach out to you, if they're local to Jacksonville, Florida, what are some ways they can find you?
So I'm on GardenistaJax.com, where you can find my website. I have a whole bunch of information out there and blogs that teach you lots of cool tips and tricks. Same thing for my social media on Gardenista Jax. So what would be that be? The @ Gardenista Jax. So those are the best ways to get in touch with me. You can message me, you can text me, there's all sorts of ways to contact me, and I would love to be your personal gardenista and help you with those questions.
Well, thank you so much. This was helpful, especially springtime. We're all planting and we're buying plants every time we go to Trader Joe's. So I think this will be helpful for all the listeners.
Yes. Trader Joe's, Publix, wherever you go now, there's plants. Like, this is so exciting.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast.
Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.